And I would like to now introduce you to Rob McDonald, who will be presenting today. Rob is a former professional kitchen employee as well as a Le Cordon Bleu graduate who is currently one of 2 instructors at Manor High School in Central Texas. He begins his 9th year teaching culinary and has been using MasterCook since 2006 when a fellow culinary instructor mentioned it for his own class. And he will go through a presentation geared more to the culinary instructor, high school or post-secondary, who can use the software as curriculum, tech applications, and student and instructor organization.
Thank you so much, Pam. I'm going to go ahead and get started with this presentation. Hello and welcome to the first webinar for educators for MasterCook software, your solution to organization of recipes, menus, and nutritional information, cost information. We're going to start off by talking about some of the various different things in your classroom that you'll need for instruction, and your typical classic direct teach instruction is the standard way to go about instructing your culinary arts or nutrition students. MasterCook is offering some solutions to a neoclassic or a more modernized version using technology, maybe even considering using a flipped or mixed classroom style. Student work is generally assessed through the various projects or hands-on work or on-the-job training that they do. A lot of education is leaning towards student-led classroom, again with many hands-on projects typically found in the culinary arts classroom or in a nutrition class. A lot of students might be engaged in project-based learning or real-world on-the-job training. What MasterCook will be able to do for you is provide a curriculum boost, will help to organize. It's currently a standalone software that can be installed in any Windows operating machine. Soon to be released will be a Apple-based operating system for iOS or OS, as well as the currently available online and cloud-based MasterCook.com. Students will be able to reinforce and bolster their software skills. They will be able to use in the simplest form recipe and menu manipulation, kitchen math, nutrition, and costing. Will start to get into the more complex pieces of MasterCook. And if you have students who are going to be in competition, it's a great way to help them prepare for these competitions. And it emphasizes the professionalism that students will need to know for using software in the work world. Organization is one of the key factors of MasterCook. It's going to allow for students and instructors to be more organized. Let's look at how the online and cloud-based functions. Auto-import recipes from your favorite websites using our magical web clipper. This is a great function for adding recipes to your collection. You can also download cookbooks, some of them which are free. The software actually comes with many already installed cookbooks, some of which are well known and even adopted from textbooks that might already be used in the culinary arts nutrition classroom. There's also a new cookbook store that is being updated daily or weekly, depending on when the information is being input. You will also be able to very easily import or add your own recipes by typing them in. This comes in very handy whenever you have some of those recipes that have been handwritten and passed down from generation to generation. You will be able to browse the trending recipes, which are on the MasterCook.com homepage, and you will also be able to very easily and simply share recipes and cookbooks. Let's look at the first image that is going to show you what MasterCook.com looks like as you are a member of MasterCook. As you can see, there are various boxes for your recipes, cookbooks, shopping lists, which are created from your various menu planning. You'll see the trending recipes, information regarding your account, and some help information that will allow you to get started or to solve some problems as you are becoming more familiar with the software. Here's the web import screen, which if you are browsing your favorite website, you can have a bookmark which will very simply allow you to grab the information from any popular page that has recipes on it. And before you commit to that file, you will be able to edit and change various information before it becomes a permanent file. And even at that point, it's not that permanent. It's something that you can certainly edit once the file has been imported into the software. As students are becoming 21st century driven and pushed to become more capable of working in a 21st century environment, their software skills will need to be very strong, and the use of this software will not only allow for the software technology, but for the online cloud-based storage technology to be used and reused so that students become more and more familiar with that environment. They will be gaining computer literacy, and instructors will be able to use technology in the classroom, engaging students in a real-world use of technology. Here's the screenshot of the standalone software that is currently available in its 14th version for the Windows installation. MasterCook, if you look at the very top, this is the splash page, has a various number of tabs, cookbooks, search, meals, shopping, tips, favorites. And if you notice at the top left, you have a back and forward arrow that will allow you to, just like when you're in a web browser, go backward or forward from the various different aspects of the software as you're using it. Let's talk about the simple versions of using recipes and menus. This is going to make for very simple organization and manipulation of the various files that the recipes and menus are based within the standalone software as well as the online cloud-based software. You will be able to use the existing recipes and cookbooks. Again, the import function allows for many different and varied recipes to be imported very simply. One of the greatest pieces of this software is its capability of searching at various levels using various filters and elimination of certain recipe ingredients for different needs for people who are maybe allergic or maybe have a specific diet plan. And you will also be able to create these recipes and menus. You have meal planning, you have cookbooks, and again, as I mentioned before, when you create your meals, you will also be able to have a shopping list that is created from the meals that you put together. So if you have a specific event or a specific day that you're going to be creating for part of your curriculum, you can then create your shopping list very simply so that you are being more efficient as you acquire your resources and your food items for your various labs. The nutritional information, this is going to allow for students in a nutrition class to very simply know a little bit more about how nutritional information is connected to foods and recipes. It'll also allow for the user to have more capability of making recipe planning and various different curriculum creation, so that way the students can know more about their menus beyond just what the recipe is. They'll also have costing information that will help you as well as the students in more advanced scenarios to know how it is that they are making their meals and how they can work within budgets. Also, substitutions are a huge part of standard restaurant involvement, whether it be for the classroom or for actual restaurant management, which is used as part of the curriculum. And the options for the substitutions are available through various aspects of the software. Let's look at the cookbook screenshot. Now I've selected the cookbook tab at the top, and as you can see in the top left under the MasterCook logo, it says cookbooks, and you have the cookbooks laid out for you either by the image, the thumbnail, with a title that goes along with it, or you can select the title tab, which would allow you to list the information alphabetically minus the thumbnail, so that way you have a little bit more ease of picking out the information. If you notice over the top, the far right, the On Baking Cookbook, as well as another cookbook that we'll visit very soon here, has a lot of potential for being used in the culinary arts classroom. We pull up our recipe browser, again on the left, the MasterCook logo, you see that you are in the recipe browser, and on the left side of this image you can see that your filter has many different predefined searches. You can filter by cuisine, by ratings which you choose, or by category. And as you look on down to the bottom, you can see that we've selected the Culinary Fundamentals, which is a cookbook that is offered by the American Culinary Federation. We're going to be looking at that cookbook and working with it for a lot of our examples. I've selected the bechamel sauce recipe, which is one of the 5 mother sauces. And you can see that there are no pictures or thumbnails that are currently available. Sometimes those can be updated. Sometimes you can add your own if you would like. So if we look at one of our recipes in detail, you notice that there's some similarities in how it is that you would view a recipe. At the top left, you have the name of the recipe, the cookbook it comes from, American Culinary Federation. Again, at the bottom, you see the Culinary Fundamentals, which is the title of the book. The recipe, or standard recipe, has basically 5 pieces of information that students need to know how to use and make sense of. You have a yield, which in this case, you have 1 gallon. And if that is a little bit too much, or maybe not enough, on the right side there is a small icon that looks like a measuring cup. And when you select that, you'll be able to scale your recipes very simply, and you'll be able to adjust your yield, which will then adjust all of the recipe ingredient amounts. There's notes that you can change. You can add, update. If you look at other parts of the recipe, okay, we have a title, we have a yield, we have the ingredients, the amounts of each ingredient, and the procedure or instructions that follow in order to create the recipe. Again, all this stuff is customized and can be edited within the software quite simply. If we look at the Tools drop-down menu, I've clicked on the drop-down menu within this same recipe, and we want to focus primarily on looking at the first 4, the ingredient list, the wine list, substitutions, yields, and equivalents. Now, if we select our ingredient list within that Tools drop-down menu, you'll see another window pop up which has a lot of information that you can use to help to teach your students more about ingredients If you look in the middle where it says Nutrition Facts, the tab that's currently selected, if you are able to scroll down, which I'm not in this image, this is a static image, but you can see the beginning of information regarding nutritional facts for the item that I've selected on the left, which is all-purpose flour. And all-purpose flour, AP flour, is one of the ingredients within our bechamel sauce that creates white roux. The information that you see on the right within that ingredient list window, again, can be customized or changed based on the needs of the recipe. If we look at our costing info, again, this is in the same window from our Tools drop-down menu, and I've then within that ingredient list window selected More Info, which is 2 tabs over from the Nutrition Facts. And on the left within the search function, I've selected onion, which is another ingredient within our bechamel sauce. And within this information tab that you have, you can see that you have some other data that can be manipulated. You can tell the computer software that as you've indexed it under onion, you've also been able to identify where in your store this item is located. So that way when you create your shopping list, you know that this item is within the produce section, and when you purchase it, it will be purchased as onion. And if you look on down below that, you can see information regarding edible portion and as to purchase portion, which is pretty much your edible portion minus your as purchase amount, which leaves you 10% of that item to be refuse or potentially used for compost, depending on how it is that your kitchen operates. And at the bottom, you can enter costing information. In this case, you would be able to enter the information based on the current market time or market price for each item. MasterCook is currently working on acquiring information that would be automatically updated from broadliners or from various wholesalers or retailers, depending on where it is that you shop and where it is that MasterCook has this information gathered. Now let's look at the shopping list. As I mentioned before, once you create a cookbook or meals, you can then add the different recipes into your shopping list, and then you can name your shopping list. This is a wonderful, very powerful way for you to make great efficiency from your shopping experience. If you're like me, your shopping experience is done by you at a local grocery store. If you have other means of acquiring your products, this is going to be able to help you. All of the items, as you see listed within my shopping list, can be sorted at the top either by item, amount, unit, or store location, which is how I prefer to sort my items. So that way, as I make my run through the grocery store, I can figure out a path of least resistance to pick up all my items. Also, you can see the ingredients are then identified within each recipe. You also have a cost amount and even a coupon amount that would allow you to adjust your cost down at the bottom. If I look at, again, one of the recipe ingredients that I've picked from the bechamel recipe, this is going to give me some substitution information. If you see on the right, you can see substitutions for flour, and it's giving you the measurement equivalents which go along with the amount that has been selected. Now we're going to talk about wine very briefly. This is generally not used within the high school classroom. You're certainly welcome to talk about it and make sense of it. Maybe it is something that can be used outside of the classroom, but you have various information that will allow you to peruse your database of wine, add to it, adjust it, customize it. So let's talk about kitchen math. One of the biggest scenarios that I express to my students is that math is something that has very many applications. And in order to help students make more sense of how they are applying their math, MasterCook will allow you to show students very simply, and you're also available to use this software to help students to make more sense of their kitchen math. Maybe you use it as part of a assessment and you allow your students to solve the problems, and then you can show them as you're using the software how it is that their answers match the information based on what the computer calculates. You have very simple scaling that can allow you to scale your recipes. It will also adjust your nutritional data, your shopping cart information, and your costing information. All of that's factored into how it is that kitchen math gives your students real-world applications of math processes. Here's an example of our yields and equivalents, which again comes from our tools drop-down menu. Again, we're using our bechamel sauce recipe. As you can see there, your yields and equivalent window is open. Our all-purpose flour has been selected. The recipe calls for 1 pound of white roux. White roux is actually a combination of 1 part flour to 1 part fat. And since we have 1 pound of white roux, I've adjusted it so that we have half of a pound of flour. And on your right, it shows you your yields and equivalents. If you do not have a scale to measure out your flour by weight, it's telling you that 2 cups of sifted or 1 3/4 cups of unsifted flour can be used. Nutritional information. This can be a very in-depth, very complex part of your nutrition class, and MasterCook will allow to make better examples and more applied information available to them as they are working through their curriculum. Our nutritional analysis for diets and various other things will be available for you to make sense of. In this window, we're showing our nutritional information for a set of recipes that is for a specific meal, and an example on the left has been chosen for banquet. We have 4 recipes: grilled salmon, garlic roasted potatoes, dill garlic bread, and asparagus. And this window that has been opened to show you nutrition per serving of this meal with those 4 recipes is at the bottom identified for a 2,000 calorie diet, and you can see all of the nutrition facts and percentages per serving, which at the top left you can see X number of calories, in this case 715 calories, broken down by the percentage of calories per fat, carbohydrates, and protein. You have a cost analysis, and you can see that the recipes again are listed for servings, where you have 4 portions of your grilled salmon, 8 portions of the grilled or garlic roasted potatoes, and 24 portions of dill garlic bread, and 1 portion of asparagus. Those are all adjustable based on your needs for how it is that your meal or your curriculum demands. Again, when I talked about the search function, you have a very robust search engine within the software that will allow you to look for recipes, look for various different options for you to produce, to create with your lab in mind or your event in mind. And in this case, I've limited my search for an event that would require a limitation of nuts and milk. And this would pick out all of the recipes that are excluding any nuts or any milk within the recipe ingredients. Costing. This is generally one of the more complex or administrative types of interaction that you might have with your students. Maybe your advanced students are using costing as part of their curriculum. Maybe the students are using it as part of a competition. This allows for students to have more practice with kitchen math, applying simple and advanced mathematics, again applying it in the real-world aspects so that there's a connection with the various different parts of how a kitchen is run. And of course, this is something that you would use as an instructor, and you would be teaching the administrative objectives and skills to your students, especially your advanced students. Let's look at a screenshot of our cost analysis page. It looks very similar to another one. Again, we have this same banquet meal, and you can see how it is that the cost analysis for this meal is minus all the nutritional information that we saw earlier. But again, you have your cost information and your cost per serving, either your total meal or your per serving, so that way you can identify how to charge your client or to express to a student how to use this information for a certain project. Maybe they have a limitation of how much money they can spend, or maybe it's a limitation of the recipe ingredients themselves. As I said before, if you have students who are part of a competition, this is a great way for them to guide themselves through the processes of getting prepared for the competition. It helps to keep them organized. It allows for formatting. A lot of times these competitions require printouts, which is another function of MasterCook. You have various options for printing out the information, various formats. Again, you're going to be able to check for correct kitchen math as the students are costing and doing their analysis. Potentially nutrition information and costing information will have to be presented as well. Plus, you have the availability of importing pics and images that can be taken of the recipes and the various plates that are being produced, so that way they know how to present the plate, how to dress the plate, how to make the plate the same time every single time, so that way there is consistency for the competition as they are practicing. And of course, as you practice, the meal has to be purchased many times over, and this will give you an ability to take your shopping list and put it in a very simple, easy to understand printout, so that each time you purchase or adjust your recipes, they can be accomplished with much more efficiency. Now, one thing that I would like to talk about very briefly is the alternative uses of MasterCook. It is software that can be used to organize your recipes and cookbooks, but there are other information from your classroom that you might want to input, such as inventory of your ingredients, how it is that they're stored within your space, and of course the specifications of those ingredients. And if you are teaching a class that is not culinary related, or maybe you would like to share with some of your colleagues who are involved in textiles, there are users who have expressed that they use the recipes to actually store information for their projects, and you can actually group your projects by book, by cookbook, and then you can break them down into various categories such as knitting or crocheting. And of course, you can also input the pictures, so that way you have a better understanding yourself or for your students as to what each project should look like. MasterCook has been very involved in offering tech support. There are many communities. Number one we'll talk about is our main tech support, which is through support.mastercook.com. The Yahoo groups, which have been around for a while, you would start off by entering groups.yahoo.com/group, and then either pick MasterCook discussion for tips, tricks, and discussions, or MasterCook 14 recipes, which is an online sharing group from the Yahoo group that has nearly 4,000 or 5,000 individuals who are involved in sharing recipes. The discussion groups through Yahoo have been managed by Pam Erickson, who is a longtime member of our support team, and she is very knowledgeable in how it is that MasterCook has progressed over the various versions over the years, and how to solve very many problems that have been brought up through users like yourself. We also have a frequently asked question page at support.mastercook.com/forums. There is a third-party web page called cheftalk.com that has many sections connected through MasterCook. And of course our Facebook page at facebook.com/getmastercook. I am Rob McDonald. I have been your presenter. You can reach me at rob@mastercook.com. Ed Lanchanton, the current president, he can be also reached at elanchanton@cosme.com. If there are further questions that need to be asked of either of us, we certainly can help with identifying a quick answer or a answer that might be able to be researched and identified at a later time. We have a very powerful group of support who are employees of MasterCook and have also provided information to many users over the years, and we pride ourselves in helping the customer acquire answers as accurately and simply as possible. Thank you very much for watching this presentation, MasterCook, mastercook.com, and we look forward to working with you in the future to helping your program be more successful and more efficient.
Thanks, Rob, for the presentation. That was very well done. At this point, we'd like to open up the webinar for questions. If you haven't typed them into your display yet, go ahead and we will do our best to answer them.
Great. Thank you, Tony. I have a question here that just came in. Question is, can we add the codes for products from specific companies? Let's say a very specific company is the only purchaser for your operation and they have specific codes. I do know that that is currently not available, but this is part of the future plans for how it is that MasterCook will be able to make much easier connections, so that way the vendors and the purchasers can all have a lot easier connection between each other during use of the software.
And then I have a question that was asked. Someone wants to know, how can I scale a recipe? Well, you can go to the cookbook screen in MasterCook and then open up one of your cookbooks and then select one of your recipes, and then along the right is a navigation bar, and it has some commonly used commands, and so we'll go ahead and open up a recipe, and then this measuring cup icon here allows you to scale the recipe, and if you click on this little arrow, it'll give you some things to choose from. You can double the recipe, and or you can just change it to to 6 servings, or you can click on the little icon itself and then you can type in a new serving amount right there, and it makes the adjustments to the amount and unit columns in the recipe. And then you can also find a nutritional analysis of a recipe by opening up a recipe, and then along the right of the screen here you can click on this heart icon, and it will bring up the nutritional analysis for this recipe, and it shows you all the nutrient amounts here.
There was a question that had come in, and I've actually, been wanting to know this myself as things were kind of progressing over time, and I remember when I first was inquiring about this, but how is it that students would be able to be involved in using the software, and as the software has developed more into a cloud-based, online-based version, anybody, especially including the students, can easily go online and create an account for free. And Pam, do you want to explain just a little bit about what the free account offers?
Yeah, so there's two accounts you can have on MasterCook.com. One is a free account and one is a paid account. The functionality is identical for both of them. The paid account allows you to store up to 5,000 recipes online, and the free account allows you to store up to 25.
And I would say for the most part, just looking at any comparison to other software out there, the price comparison is really, it's not much of a comparison at all. It actually is very attractive to want to consider using MasterCook for what it can do, especially now that there's growing support for online, cloud-based, and as well as being involved in using it on a portable device such as an iPad or a smartphone.
Yeah, we hear that a lot in support as well. People are just amazed at how much you can do for this how much you can do in this program and for the price.
For teachers, that's you can't argue with that. That's a sold kind of thing. That's definitely what got me involved.
And earlier, it was shown you can enter your own ingredients and nutrition, and I can show you how to do that. You just go to the Tools menu up here, and then select Ingredient List from this menu. And this brings up the Ingredient List window. And along the left here are all the ingredients that are in the database already. And you can edit these if you want. Just select one of the ingredients, and then you can change the values over here. Or you can create and add your own ingredient by clicking on the New button and then give it a name. I'll just create a test one. And you click OK, and then it creates a new empty ingredient, and then you can fill in all the values here. And you can also, if you want to create a new ingredient based on an ingredient that is already there, but you just want to change the values slightly, you can do that as well by selecting one of the ingredients and then clicking the Save As button here, and it'll bring up a window so you can create a new ingredient with a different name, and then you can edit its nutrient values.
Do you have any good examples you could share with us about costing?
Costing is done through the ingredient list as well. You open up the ingredient list, and then you go to the More Info tab here, and down here is where you input the cost values. So let's say milk here, I've inputted a cost for this for $3.99 per 2,000 milliliters. So when you have a recipe or a menu that's using that ingredient, it will use these values here to figure out the cost of the recipe. So I can close this window and show you that. I can create a new recipe here and then type in 2,000 milliliters and the 1% milk. And then you can select cost analysis from the Tools menu, and it will show you the cost per serving and the total cost. So since I didn't enter a number of servings here for this recipe, it gives me the cost for the whole as if it was just one serving. So if I change this to like 4 servings here and then do the cost analysis, it'll change it to how much it is per serving, and then also tell you how much it is for the entire recipe.
Thank you, Pam. That's super awesome information. It's way more exciting than my still images.
Yeah, and then, also you touched on a bit about doing a search. MasterCook has a pretty powerful search, and you can search by nutritional values too. So you just go to the search screen and then click on expanded search, and then you can select the criteria you want to search on from here. You can just scroll down and, like let's say you want to find recipes that are have a fiber content of something that's greater than like 2%. Then you type that in, and then you add it down here, and it adds the filter right here. And then you can select which cookbooks you want to search from here. So I can just select certain cookbooks that I want it to search through. I don't have to search through all of them. And then it'll show the list of cookbooks here that it's going to search through, and then just press search, and it will search those cookbooks and then give you a list of the recipes that fit this criteria of something that's got fiber of greater than 0.5, and then you can open the recipes up from the search screen.
That's so fantastic to use whenever you give students a project and you task them with saying, you've got these restrictions on your meal planning, or if you have an event and you know for sure that 2 people out of the 20 that are coming are having a dietary restriction. So now you can get them to go through the whole entire process, with a little bit more help from the software to do some limiting and organizing of those recipes as to just kind of blindly looking through a cookbook, or my students' favorite, which is going to Google Direct and just searching for pretty much anything they can find. And I think the benefit to this is that they're getting an opportunity to have a lot of options pop up for them, whereas I think when you tend to search online, you have maybe too many options.
Yeah, and another great thing about these search criteria, you'll notice that you can save the search criteria too. You set up your search criteria, and then you use the save search criteria as from here, and you give it a name, and it'll show up here in the searches. What's really nice is these are also used to filter your recipes when you're viewing an entire cookbook. So I'll show you that. Go back to the cookbook screen and open up a cookbook, and you'll notice that there's predefined searches here. It says you can filter the recipes in this cookbook by a predefined search. Well, you'll see that the list here is what is in the search screen. So if you click on one of these predefined searches, it'll see how it just searched through all this cookbook, and now it's just showing only these recipes that fit this criteria.
Yeah, very fast. See, I think I had another question that came up. This is one that I don't think we touched on enough, but just to remind everybody, any future questions, whether it be for purchasing or anything, please contact support@mastercook.com or go to the website support.mastercook.com.
And then I have another question here. It says, I believe that you mentioned the use of MasterCook via the cloud. Is there an annual fee involved with this, or does it come with the purchase of MasterCook? When you purchase MasterCook 14, it comes with a free 1-year subscription.
And then as customers want to renew, do we have some facts that we can put out there for how a renewal after that first year is over?
We will send them email reminders, and you can use the links in there to renew, or you can go to the website and go to the store, and you can just buy a subscription there. And if you're logged into your account when you purchase it, it'll automatically extend your subscription.
Perfect.
And then another question that was asked was, is there a quick way to import recipes from Google Drive? You can set MasterCook up so that it looks at your cookbooks that are on Google Drive, and then you can view your MasterCook cookbooks through MasterCook from your Google Drive.
That's a fantastic question. I honestly probably hadn't thought about that until just now. Thank you, whoever asked that. Now that I've been using Google Drive more often, that's definitely my go-to storage place.
Yeah, then someone else asks, can a recipe be imported directly into a cookbook, or must you save it to MasterCook.com first? When you use the web importer on MasterCook.com, it automatically saves it to your account at MasterCook.com, but in the web import window there is a download button, so you can click on that download button and just download it right from the import window right into MasterCook. But a copy is still saved in your account at MasterCook.com, which is really nice because in the past, in the previous versions, the web importers, once you clicked on to save it to MasterCook, if there was an error or something, you lost every one of those recipes and you could not get them back unless you started all over again to go find them online and then re-import them. So this really saves you.
Yeah, that's been one of the functions I've definitely enjoyed as of this past year as well.
And then someone else asked, what do the highlighted I's in the recipe mean? Like this one right here in this recipe, it has this red circle with the I in it. It means that this ingredient is not known exactly by this name, and so it's been linked to an ingredient in the database by a different name. So it just shows you which ingredient that it's linked to. It's linked to large egg, a whole large egg. And someone else asked a really good question. Once I have inputted the prices, will they be saved to be used in other recipes, or do I have to input prices for each recipe? In MasterCook, you don't input the price per recipe. Instead, you input the price per ingredient. And so the price is actually saved and stored with the ingredient in the ingredient list. And so you definitely want to make sure that you keep your ingredient list file backed up that has all that data and all your customizations that you've done to that ingredient list.
Yeah, and as market prices change or as different vendors change throughout the times that you use them, you can always update that information by hand. We've kind of mentioned before that it's definitely in the works that we're planning on getting that information hopefully more direct from the providers. I had a question here that came up regarding using the shopping list function for requisitions. I think what the benefit of using the shopping list will be, it's one of these things where when I've used it, I've definitely had to know what my inventory is currently, and then of course having to figure out what my new purchases are. And I've kind of taken to using this as a learning opportunity for my students to get involved in making sense of how it is that I go through that process of purchasing and taking inventory. So, you know, one of the great things about the software is how do you use it as a tool in your classroom? And I know that there is a bit of a learning curve as you're learning new software, but I pretty much put it out there in front of my students that I'm still learning, and that as they're learning, I invite them to even help me to make sense of some of this stuff. And, you know, as every day goes by that they learn something new, I tell them that I'm just as human and I'm happy to learn something new as well. So that's pretty much what I go about using this tool for my classroom.
And then one final question that I have here is, are you able to set up a classroom or group in which students can join? I'm not quite sure if I totally understand what that question is asking.
I might be able to help with that one. I think where the question is going is to maybe have a limitation of how it is that certain classes are using the information that's kind of derived from the software. And I think that something that I wanted to try this coming year was to use different accounts and maybe have a master account for each one of my classes. And then that way when I sign on to those accounts, then, you know, it would be this one class that has this information. This might be one of those creative organization things that some of the folks out there who use this might already have, or maybe they have a different solution too. But this is actually something I was kind of curious about myself, as opposed to just letting all of my classes have the same access, but then students having individual access as well.
I'm going to interject a little bit more information into that as well. So right now there's one really good way to do it, and we mentioned it a little bit earlier, and that's with the use of Google Drive. You can set it up so that you have the master account, and you set up your cookbooks in your Google Drive, and then have your students give your students access to, you know, only the folders that you want them to have access to, and you can even set up different groups for different classrooms, or different class groups, and allow them access in that way. So Google Drive works pretty well to do that right now. The other thing I wanted to touch on is in the next version of the application, we're working on a feature called Group Cookbooks, and that will allow you to do just that via MasterCook.com. So you could have your students have MasterCook.com accounts, and you could create a group cookbook, and your students would have access to those cookbooks.
That's fantastic, Tony. I'm looking forward to making that happen this year.
All right. Well, I think we are at that point where we have to wrap things up. First of all, thank you, Rob and Pam. It was great. A lot of good information there. And second, there's a few of you who didn't get we didn't have time to answer your questions. So go ahead and send your question to support@mastercook.com, or go to our website at support.mastercook.com, and go ahead and put your question in there, and then you know, we will be glad to help you. The other thing I wanted to mention, reiterate, is we're really looking to work with the culinary education industry and really make a better environment for students. And as we kick off that initiative, in the month of August, we're offering a free download of MasterCook 14 to culinary educators. So if you haven't received if you're a culinary educator and haven't received your free download of MasterCook 14 yet, just go ahead and put in a ticket to support@mastercook.com, or go to our website at support.mastercook.com. And that is all for now. I want to thank everybody who attended. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think